Hello fellow YouTubers, welcome to this video where I'm going to be discussing the Nexus. Now, it came to my attention when Ryback left that almost none of the original members are still there. Like, I have a list of members on the screen, that's why you can see the glare in my glasses. Darren Young's still there, and Heath Slater's still there. I mean, Otunga's still there, but he's been on TV one time in 2 years. So is this the worst stable in wrestling history? I know a lot of people like saying Legacy was, but at least when Legacy was around, they were all doing something. I mean, there was a clear-cut goal, let's make Randy Orton champ. Then Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase became tag champs. Yeah, it might not have been the best stable in terms of storylines and stuff like that, but way better than this. So let's seriously take a look, okay? The Nexus debuted, what, like June 2010? Let me just scroll down. Yeah, it would have had to have been June 2010. Okay, so of the original members, you had Wade Barrett, who won the IC title a lot. Yeah, that's his legacy. Daniel Bryan, but I will say this, okay? I do believe that the Nexus had no part in Daniel Bryan's success at all. And I don't mean to be this guy, but you can pinpoint the turning points of his career to people like The Miz and Kane and Randy Orton. Nobody involved in this storyline. So, Darren Young was in the original Nexus. And Darren Young right now is doing shit with Bob Backlund. Okay, they're making Darren Young great again. And I think it's interesting because I worry that once it's over, the person who's going to be really over from this is Bob Backlund. So it's interesting. Darren Young's won a tag title like once, but it wasn't even with the Nexus. It was with Titus O'Neil. So he didn't need the Nexus for his success either. Skip Sheffield. This is Ryback. And if you really look, like, I'm a Ryback fan, okay? But he is a one-time United States champion. Never won the tag titles, never won the IC title or the WWE Championship. One time. Oh, I think he won the Intercontinental Championship. So he's an IC and US champ. That's a really low mid-carder in modern WWE. So he didn't do much, and as you guys know, he left. So he's gone. Michael Tarver, you guys probably don't remember him, but he was released June 2011, was only on TV for like 2 months. Justin Gabriel, retired from the WWE, January 2015. He won the tag titles a bunch. This is a guy who should have been a bigger deal. Just like Wade Barrett, and they never did anything with him. So Nexus didn't help him. Heath Slater. You could make an argument that the Nexus helped him for a little bit, just because there was that point when he was feuding with all the legends. But that wasn't really because of the Nexus. And to make matters worse, really, Heath Slater's career has been shit. You figure, you know, he feuded with the legends. That's the high point of his career. Then it was like the three-man band and the Social Outcast. His career is on a freaking tailspin. Bad one. And David Otunga was in the original Nexus, and he's been on TV once in the last 2 years. So it really helped him out. You know, got a PhD, married to some Jennifer Hudson, maybe? I don't fucking know. But he ain't even been on TV that much. So the Nexus hasn't helped any of these guys. Like, really, if you look at it, none of these guys were ever world champion. This was 6 years ago. To put this into perspective, okay, say we're looking at Evolution, which I consider the greatest stable, at least of my time period. You figure Triple H was champion during, Randy Orton became champion, Batista became champion, Ric Flair didn't become world champion, but he feuded with the world champion multiple times. So that is a good stable. The Nexus is not. So then you have John Cena joining, which I don't really have to explain to you guys what John Cena's doing now, because we all know John Cena's being John Cena. Then there was the new Nexus, which I don't really want to talk about, but things look a little better from that side. But You have Husky Harris, who then got repackaged. Michael McGillicuddy, who got repackaged. CM Punk was in there, but wasn't really necessary. And Mason Ryan, who was released April 2014. Yeah. So, there's nothing. Just nothing at all. Maybe you're arguing, well, the goal of the group was to secure all of them contracts. And I even have that written down. But it wasn't. Because they all had contracts within like a week. Wouldn't the stable then break apart? No, the real goal of the stable, and I'm pretty sure we all know this, was to give Cena something to do. Now, I'm not saying Cena's a bad guy. Like, legitimately. Like, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying here. I'm just saying that before the Nexus debuted, Cena was having that really decent feud with Batista. Remember? And then Batista left right at the end. So there was nowhere for Cena to go. He had nobody to feud with in that moment. You figure then he started feuding with the Nexus, and that feud lasted 7 months. 7 months. And you want to know where that feud ended? It ended at the Royal Rumble, where Cena's goal changed to fighting for the WWE Championship. Because The Miz had the title. See, and I think this is the problem with Cena as a main eventer after all these years. Because you can tell when things are done just to give Cena something to do. This feud carried on for 7 months. It was just Cena. Like, legitimately, tell me other people who feuded with the Nexus for months on end. No, you can't, because it's just Cena. After the Nexus was done, Cena feuded with The Miz. Got the title back, started his feud with The Rock. It was done. And then remember after that, they had that stupid Kane storyline with Zack Ryder, where they buried Zack Ryder to give Cena something to do. This was the Nexus. That was the goal of the Nexus. We need to give Cena something to do for 7 months. Hell, they probably would have done it for longer if they could have, and then still slipped John Cena into the main event. But they couldn't. This was a really bad year in wrestling in general, and the Nexus and Cena's feud was part of it. Legitimately, I remember, you'll always hear me say I'm a misfit, because this year, 2010, 2011, the only interesting thing on WWE programming was The Miz. And I don't say that to like criticize other people, but it's true. Nobody had any interest in Nexus a few months in. You kept hoping something good was going to happen, and it never, ever did. So, the Nexus, I mean, legitimately, think of stables worse than the Nexus. Okay? Like, maybe you're going to say, oh, you said the Social Outcasts, they're worse. No, they're not. Because we know they're a comedic group. They're not attempting to be main eventers. That's not what their goal is. Their goal is, we need to be funny. Their goal is, oh, well, we're a group of guys. Maybe you want to say the three-man band, but the three-man band kept all three of those guys on TV. That was the goal. The goal wasn't to become WWE champion. I mean, if you seriously, before I wrap this up, I'm going to look at this list, okay? And how many of these guys do you see could have legitimately been better off had Nexus not been there? Wade Barrett, you're damn right he could have. I'm not even a Barrett fan, but he could have. Daniel Bryan, if they didn't waste a year of his, progression on the stupid Nexus, it wasn't a year, it was only a couple months. So Daniel Bryan, no, but that's because they kicked him out so soon. Darren Young, why hasn't Darren Young done anything relevant? Like, really? He was massively over with the crowd in the primetime players. Skip Sheffield, I know a lot of you guys don't like Ryback. I know you don't. But he is a big guy. And I don't just say that because he's the big guy. But I say that because he is legitimately big. They could have done something with him. He could have stood out. But no. IC champ, US champ, and that was both in the last 14 months. Michael Tarver, I have no opinion on this guy. Justin Gabriel, he should have been something. You know how great he would have been in the mid-card? Could you imagine him feuding with, like, Seth Rollins? Freaking Dean Ambrose? This guy was great. He stood out. He had the great hair. So, you know, all the girls could enjoy him. The guys could enjoy him because he did the flips and the kicks, and the kids could have enjoyed him for the same reason. But no, he was just a tag champ. Heath Slater. You know, when I first saw Heath Slater, I thought, man, this guy has charisma. And he does. And what has he done? David Otunga, doesn't he have a freaking PhD? He's married to one of the biggest celebrities. And he's never done anything. His entire, like, call to fame is that he was in the Nexus first and last. That's his entire call to fame. You know, Husky Harris, this did not help him. Could you imagine if he would have been Bray Wyatt since back then? You know, he would have been world champion by now. Michael McGillicuddy, you know, I don't like Curtis Axel, but come on. Freaking Mason Ryan. These guys all had something. And when they got pushed into the Nexus, it was all lost. But I've been rambling. I don't want this video to go too long because I can only upload videos that are 15 minutes or less. So if you've enjoyed the video, like, comment, share, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. But most importantly, peace out, home skillets.